This is Gene Monterastelli, and welcome to the Tapping Q&A podcast, recorded live to tape from Williamsburg in Brooklyn. This is episode 259, originally aired February 22nd, 2017. Hi, everyone. I hope this finds you well wherever you are and whatever time of day you're getting a chance to listen to this. Thanks for spending some time with me today. Today, we're going to be talking about tapping for physical pain, which is often forgotten that tapping is actually good for that. Before we jump into doing that, I wanted to send a shout out and a big thank you to Martella, Sheila, and Carol. They were the three most recent people who have decided to support the Tapping Q&A podcast. With those contributions, we're about 30% of our way to the first goal. The first goal, if we reach it, will be in a situation where the podcast will be completely commercial free, and moving forward, every single interview that we do will also be transcribed. So you get a chance to not only listen, but you can read along as well. If you'd like to become a supporter of the Tapping Q&A podcast and receive some really cool gifts, including the opportunity to tap with me one-on-one, all you need to do is go to tappingqa.com/support. And if you happen to be listening to this right now inside of a smartphone, if you go to the show notes, you'll see a link directly at the top of the show notes. If you happen to be on the website just above the web player right now, you will see a link that says support the podcast. You can click on that and have an opportunity to do exactly that so that we can expand the really cool things that we are doing with the podcast. So today we're going to tap on dealing with physical pain. And at the top of the show, I mentioned the fact that tapping for physical pain kind of feels like the forgotten issue that we can tap for. It was the first thing that I was ever truly successful with. I was dealing with a migraine headache in the middle of the night, and within minutes was asleep. Woke up the next morning just almost wondering if it really happened. It felt so much like a dream, and it was so quick. The tapping is so powerful for dealing with emotional issues, limiting beliefs, clearing past traumas, that I think we forget that we can use it for aches and pains. I know that I certainly do that. So today what I wanted to do was I wanted to share with you the 15 questions that I tune into when I'm tapping. Now, don't get me wrong, it is possible for you to tap on a pain like the pain in your knee and just say, this pain in my knee, this pain in my knee, this pain in my knee, and move from point to point. The problem that some people fall into when they're saying the same phrase over and over and over again is at a certain point, it just becomes a mantra. It just becomes something that you're mumbling that isn't providing focus. The reason why I'm saying this pain in my knee is because I'm trying to draw my attention and stay focused there so that I'm getting the most benefit out of tapping. Remember, we're tuning into the issue plus the stimulation on the tapping points is what gives us release. So saying this pain in my knee isn't necessarily going to focus us there. So what I've done is I have created 15 questions that I like to ask myself or ask my clients when I'm tapping for a physical pain. If you would like a full write-up of these 15 questions and have an explanation for each of the questions in depth, all you need to do is download the Tapping Q&A app. If you go to tappingqandapodcast.com, you can download both the Apple and the Android version. In addition to having all of the audio content from the website, there's over 310 audios now. All of the tap along audios, I've been adding the tapping scripts there. The 10 questions are going to be added there. And when we start adding transcripts to the shows, you're going to be able to find the transcripts on the app as well. So if you are listening to this in the app right now and you want to follow along, up at the top, if you click on text, and in the text section, you will see that there is this tapping instruction. It'll just be listed as the 15 questions that I tap to when tapping for physical pain. They're just ways of us focusing to make it easier to move through it. So tappingqandapodcast.com to get the app so you can get a text version of these questions. So let's just jump right into it and give them a try. If you are currently experiencing a physical pain, an ache, a tension, I want you to go through these 15 questions and use it for that physical pain or ache, assuming you are not currently driving a car, pushing a lawnmower, doing something that you need to be giving your attention to. If you're not in a situation where you can think of something that's really big, just close your eyes, take a nice big deep breath, scan your body very, very quickly, and just pay attention to any tension, any aches, any pains. I would be willing to bet if there wasn't something obvious, there's going to be something that is there. So just take a nice big deep breath for me and tune into it. And as we go through these questions, I'm just going to ask the question. Just keep tapping, moving from point to point, and just pay attention to the information that's coming forward. Now, one last note before we jump into this. The answers that we're getting back, some of them are not going to be diagnostic. Like when we ask what color it is, it's not that when it's green, it means one thing and it's blue, it means something else. By simply thinking of these questions, it's just giving us an opportunity to stay focused in what's going on. So, nice deep breath. Draw your attention to whatever that ache, that pain, that soreness, that tension is. So the first question, where is the pain located? And be as specific as possible. Is it in the front of the knee? Is it in the back of the knee? Is it in the dead center of your muscle? Is it only on the right side? Where is the pain located? Just focus on that. The next question is, what type of pain is it? Is it dull, sharp, achy? Is it pulsing? Is it itchy? Is it hot? Is it pokey? Just get as specific as possible describing the type of pain that you're feeling. 0 to 10, 0 being no pain at all, 10 being the most pain you can imagine. How big is the pain? What is the three-dimensional shape of the pain? Is it only flat on the surface? Does it feel like it's a ball of pain? Is it a long strip of tightness running the length of the muscle? Does it have a round center with tentacles going out in every direction? As much detail as possible. What is the 3D shape of the pain? As you tune into the pain, is there an epicenter to the pain? Meaning, is there a place that is more concentrated with the pain, or is it evenly distributed? Is it the same level of pain all the way through it? If you were to reach into the body and pull out the pain and hold it in your hands, how much would it weigh? And this doesn't have to be a number. It's not 4 pounds, but it weighs as much as a grapefruit. It's light like cotton balls. Just imagine it in your hand. How much does it weigh? If you were going to paint a picture of this pain, which color or colors would you use? And be as specific as possible. It's not just red, but it's fire truck red, or it's rust red, or it's red in the middle, and as it gets to the edges, it turns orange, and then it gets yellow as it moves out. What colors would you use? If you were going to make a model of your pain, and you were going to take it into your second grade classroom to show them what it was like, what materials would you use to depict the pain? Would it be hard rubber? Would it be wires wrapped around? Would it be fire? What would it look like? What would you use to show what that pain is like? I want you to imagine drawing a little cartoony face on the pain or the tension. If the pain or tension could talk, what would it say right now? Now, it might say something really specific. It might scream in pain. It might just make a silly face and stick its tongue out at you. Again, this isn't a diagnostic question. Just what is it? What would it be saying? How would it respond on that little face? What does the pain remind you of? First thing that comes to mind, again, don't judge. It's a person, a place, a situation. It might remind you of nothing, but what does it remind you of? What emotion is associated with the pain? Again, first thing that comes to mind, and it might not be anything specific, or it might be 3 or 4 emotions at once. Again, we're trying not to diagnose, but just have the information come forward as you're tapping on it. What memories are associated with the pain? Something might spring to mind and it might not. Don't question why it's coming forward. Just listen to it. Ask the pain, what does it need? Or what does it need to say that needs to be heard? Ask the pain finally, what does it want you to learn? Take a nice big deep breath for me. And just tune back into the pain. Now, there are 3 possible outcomes from doing something like that. Outcome number 1 is that the level of pain has gone down. It might even be completely gone, and it's very possible that the discomfort that you were feeling was gone before we got to the 15th question. The second outcome is the pain might actually feel worse. Now, this does not mean that we have injured ourselves, but instead, because we're giving more attention to the pain, we're noticing it. Kind of like if you have a sore knee and you're walking around all day, you don't notice it, but the instant you get home and sit down after work, the knee starts aching again. Sitting down didn't make the knee ache, but during the day you were paying attention to other things. You didn't notice that pain because it was constant. Kind of like you don't notice your socks right now until I said notice your socks. Like we get stimulus that we just tune out. And so we're good at tuning out the pain. Going through a process like this helped you to tune into it so it got higher, which means that this is a great opportunity to go back to the questions and go through them again because you're making progress and you're heading in the right direction. The third outcome is there's no change at all. And sometimes this is just the reality of it. As wonderful and as magical as tapping in, it doesn't deal with everything. It's not the only thing we should use. For me, it's a tool I reach for regularly, but it's not necessarily the first tool I reach for, depending on the situation. If I cut my finger open when I'm making lunch, I don't start tapping going, even though I'm bleeding, I love and accept myself. I reach for a clean cloth and I put pressure on it. So tapping's great for physical issues. It's not a panacea for everything. So if it goes down, you're heading in the right direction. If it goes up, you're heading in the right direction. If it doesn't move, you might want to investigate something else, maybe a different modality, something else to help you to heal. The other thing to keep in mind is that there were a number of those questions at the end. What does this remind you of? Who does this remind you of? What do you want to learn from the pain? There's a possibility that in those questions, you uncovered some really useful issues for you to go after and tap on that may or may not be related to the pain, but they presented themselves. So it's a great opportunity for you to do that work. So it's pretty straightforward. Again, those questions aren't diagnostic. If you saw the color green or you saw the color red, it didn't mean anything. It was just a tool to help us keep focused. So the next time you're in pain, you can just come back to this audio, hit play, or if you download the app, tappingqandapodcast.com, you'll see a link to both Android and iOS. You can download it, hit the text area, and you can just read the questions as you're tapping if that's something that you find more useful. If you would like to see transcripts of everything going forward, if you'd like for me to record you a custom one-on-one audio, or if you just want to make sure that the podcasts keep growing and we do amazing things, please visit tappingqanda.com/support so you too can get a shout out on the show in the future for helping us out, and you'll make sure the podcast keeps getting better. If you know someone in your life who could use this issue, use this episode of the show, please, please, please be our ambassador. Don't spam your inbox and send it to everybody in the world. But if you know someone who is open to something like this, please pass it along. You being our advocate means that this amazing healing tool is going to get into the hands of people who I don't know, who I can't reach. And it just gives us this opportunity to take this free resource and just send healing rippling on and on and on. You can subscribe to the podcast in iTunes, in Stitcher, in TuneIn, in iHeartRadio, in the Google Music Play Store. I was just checking out the Google Play Store, and we are still the #1 EFT podcast in the Google Music Play Store. There are now 3 results that come up when you search for it, but we are still #1. Wherever you listen to the podcast, please leave us a rating, leave us a review. It makes it easier for other people to find it. You can find the entire Tapping Q&A podcast archive at tappingqandapodcast.com. I think this is the 313th episode, between full episodes, bonus episodes, 2-part episodes. Every single one of those resources going back to March of 2009 are absolutely free. If you have a question, a comment, a topic you'd like to see us cover in the future, please let me know. I can always be reached at gene@tappingqna.com. If you have the app, just click the contact button. If you're on the website, just scroll up to the top, click on contact, drop me a note. I would love to hear from you. For the Tapping Q&A podcast, this is Gene Monterastelli. I hope you have a great day, and I will talk to you real soon. Bye-bye. The Tapping Q&A podcast is copyright Gene Monterastelli, Tapping Q&A 2016. All views expressed by guests are those of the guests and not necessarily of Gene Monterastelli or Tapping Q&A.